Hello, hello. It is 7 a.m. on Sunday, March 3rd, and I read quite a few books this past week. I read 8 books this past week. They are, considerably smaller than the books I was reading the week before, but still, I think it was a pretty solid reading week. A couple of rereads in here. We started off with the reread, and that was the first volume of Month the Girls Nozaki-kun by Izumi Tsubaki, and this remains one of my favorite manga series of all time. It is so goddamn funny. So this series, it follows this girl named Chiyo Sakura who is in love with this man right here. Unfortunately, she is incapable of voicing her feelings in a normal way, and so she ends up trying to confess her love to him, but she calls herself his fan. And in a terrible twist of fate, he is also a manga artist, and he thinks that that's what she means, and so he just gives her an autograph, and then she starts working with him, and it's so funny, it's so cute. All the characters in the series are so dumb. Like, this is miscommunication done to like the perfect extent. It is wonderful. 5 out of 5 stars. It's like my favorite manga series. After that, I read a, how do I describe this? Hockey male romance situation. It is Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed, and this is technically the second in a series, but you don't have to read them in order, because it just one of those series where it just follows different couples. This follows these two who have been pitted as rivals since like they first got into the NHL, and then they've been fucking for that long too. And really the first 60% of this book was just it would time skip around a lot. So they would meet each other, they would have sex, and then they move on with their lives, and then they'd meet each other again a couple months later. Same thing would happen over and over and over again. I didn't mind it. I think that the writing was good. I think that the characters were fun. Definitely there is worse out there when it comes to romance. I believe this was originally self-published, but then they started getting republished from an actual press. But not all of them, because there's a whole series, not all of them are out in paperback yet. And I'm hoping that they continue publishing them in paperback. I do have to go back and get the first one at some point, but I think this is definitely, I think it's good. I think she did a good job. After that, wait, what did I give this guy? Did I give it a 5-star? I might have. I did. I gave it 5 stars. It's a good time. After that, I read Final Grade by R.L. Stine, which is about this girl who is just really like kind of anal about her grades. Like she needs to get all A's because there's a specific scholarship that she wants to get, and if she doesn't have the highest grades in the class, then she's not going to get that scholarship, and that guy she's going against doesn't need the scholarship, and it's that whole situation. But then the teacher that gave her a B ends up dead, and people are a little bit wondering, like, did she kill this guy? And then more people start ending up dead, and it's fine for a Fear Street, It's pretty typical. It's a fun time. Very dramatic. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I read one of this next book that I read is, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, probably gonna be one of my favorite books of the year. It's a novella. I guess technically it's connected to a full-length novel by this author that I haven't read, but you don't need to. You don't need to read that novel. I will probably at some point just because I'm curious, but this book, it reminded me of Apt Pupil in a way. Except for with less Nazis and more just straight up murder. And that is A Special Place by Peter Straub. This is my favorite book I've ever read by Peter Straub. Like, I enjoyed his stuff with Stephen King. I like The Talisman and Black House. But I've read a couple of his books that he wrote on his own, and they've been pretty okay. Like, I read Ghost Story, it was fine. I read Houses Without Doors, it was fine. This was so goddamn good. Okay, so this follows this kid, and he's a little bit of a weird kid. And he has this uncle who is constantly on the run from the law. And so this uncle, who is a serial killer, starts kind of teaching him his ways, and this kid is like mutilating animals, and he's got this little toady that he kind of does whatever he wants because he saved this kid from being bullied. It's so good. It's very short. It's like 120 pages, maybe 130. It's so good. Like, honestly, this is better than Apt Pupil. Like, it reminded me of Apt Pupil just with the kind of aspect of like this young man getting advice to be a terrible human from an older person. But it's better than Apt Pupil. It's so good. I do want to. It is. I believe it's connected to Dark Matter. I believe Keith does. Is a character in Dark Matter. I'm assuming a villain. And so I do intend to read that at some point. But yeah, no, it was So good. It was so good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. After that, I read the second volume in a manga series I started the week before. I do intend to continue out the series because it's been really good so far. Kind of along the same route as Monthly Girls and Zaki-kun, although more cute, less funny. And that is Tomo-chan is a Girl. This is volume 2. So this follows this girl, and she has been in love with her male best friend for a while now, but he really doesn't see her as a girl. He sees her as just another one of the guys because she is very masculine, and it's very cute. And this is another situation where like miscommunication is just so delicious. It is wonderful. It's very cute. The drawing is very cute too, and I do intend to continue on the series because it is just adorable. I believe I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think I liked it more. Yeah, 5 out of 5. I liked it more than the first volume. I am excited to continue on the series. All right, then I read probably the worst book of the week, and that is Chicken Soup for the College Soul. I had Chicken Soup for the Preteen Soul when I was 10 or something. And I remember liking it just because I liked all the different separate stories. But as I'm older and reading this, I'm just realizing just how many of these people have just random death. And like, there's just like these stories, and it'll be somebody will like teach you something, and then they just die. They just kill him off at the end. And we're like, oh, okay, I guess he has AIDS now. Like, it was a lot. I give it 2 out of 5 stars. These aren't really not worth much. These are books you leave in the church bathroom. That's what these are for. All right, then I read another couple books I really loved. The first one is not a reread. Second one's a reread. The first one is not. That is Charming Young Man by Elliot Schrafer. And I am positive that part of my love for this book does come from the fact that I did take 8 years of French and then got Stockholm Syndrome into being a bit of a Francophile. But this follows a young pianist who ends up, he's trying to make it as a pianist. And to do that, he does need he needs a patron to pay him to play piano, and he ends up falling in with Marcel Proust. Proust is there, and also Robert de Montesquieu and all those people, and it was tragic and it was beautiful. It's like you couldn't even hate Montesquieu until the very end, like the bits before the end. You couldn't really hate him because it's just like, oh, it's rough. No, this was beautiful. This was really good. This author wrote a book that gets talked up a lot when you talk about gay YA, and that's The Darkness Outside Us, which I've never been interested in just because I don't care about the space stuff. But after reading this, I'm kind of interested because this was really good. It was really well written. It was really well done. It was tragic. It just made me uncomfortable in like the best possible way. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, it might be one of my favorites of the year. All right, then I did a reread, and this is a reread on what was my favorite book of 2015. And I was curious as to whether this was actually good or if it was just the first time I'd ever read erotica. And it's not really like straight up, like there's more aspects to it. It has a darkness to it that definitely 18-year-old Aurora really, really liked, and that 26-year-old Aurora also really, really likes. Because it is that good. It is that good, and I'm curious and kind of mad as to why this author kind of disappeared off the face of the planet, because they published 3 books under this name, and then he came out as transgender. He published 1 book under his new name, and then just gone since like 2017. And that I'm talking, of course, about Elliot Wake, at this point writing under Leah Rader. Black Iris. I fucking loved Black Iris. I read it. It was my favorite book of 2015. So I was 18 years old. I think I read it in August of 2015. And this follows this girl who is like out for revenge, and there's so much happening in this book. Like it's you can't really describe it because it does do a lot of jumping around in time. Revenge is a very large part of this. Revenge is the most important thing, really. And she's also falling in love with this Australian girl, and it's just it's about homophobia, and it's written so beautifully. Like I'm talking like the best author to compare this writing to, the best book to compare this writing to, is like Exquisite Corpse or something like that. Like it's that kind of beautiful. I know some people have some issues with like Exquisite Corpse, and I think this one too, where they think it's a little bit too flowery, but I love it. I love it so much. It is that good. It is that good. Like it is, 5 out of 5 stars. It remains a 5 out of 5. Currently, I am reading The Waking Dark by Robin Wasserman, which is interesting so far. It's got really long chapters, which I kind of like, which I think that means I'll get through it faster. So that's nice. These are the books I read this past week. That is all of today. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.